You know, it's a challenging thing being an American right now, because the system has been structured and rigged in a way where what we really want, we don't get. And we're told to accept a situation that is not very good. It's really a choice between dementia and demented, as I like to say. You know, you have two candidates, both of which have been president for 4 years, running against each other, who are both very old and have very controversial track records and are remarkably polarizing and have invested a huge amount of their time into dividing people. And when we look at America, there's over 300 million people that live in the United States. We have some of the best and brightest and most talented and capable people. And for some reason, the system is built in a way to prevent those people from being able to actually run for president.
In today's digital age, the quest for transparent and secure election systems has led to groundbreaking developments. Imagine a future where every vote is not just counted, but also trusted without a shadow of a doubt. This isn't a far-off dream. It's on the verge of becoming a reality. States across the US are turning their sights to Cardano, seeking to harness blockchain technology to revolutionize the electoral processes. Join us as we delve into the exciting endeavor, exploring how blockchain could redefine democracy and trust in our electoral systems. Stay tuned as we unpack the potential of Cardano in paving the way for a new era of voting integrity.
So let's start with the most important part. What is blockchain and why can it really impact voting and democracy in a very positive way? Well, let's start with what blockchain is. It's a ledger, it's immutable. This basically means that you can cast your vote. It can't be changed or doctored in any way by a third party. This means that once that vote is cast, it's on the ledger, it's public for everybody to see. This is a contrast to how things are at the moment, where perhaps the ballots are done on paper, they are transported. You're relying on a lot of third parties to basically not edit or doctor or lose big numbers of votes. And this is something that you won't be able to do when blockchain technology is introduced. And for me, that is a really important thing. We like to believe that when we do our votes, that actually when we're electing somebody, that person is the correct person, they are the person that won. And at the moment, that has been brought into question. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on that in the comments below. Don't forget to give us a follow and a like, because it really does help this video. I'm going to pass you over to Nick now to talk more about what this means for voting and democracy.
Okay, so now we have a bit of an understanding as to what blockchain is and how it could play a very critical role in the electoral systems over in the States. Let's talk about the Cardano ecosystem. So Cardano is a peer-reviewed blockchain technology. Basically, it provides a layer 1 solution in terms of a ledger that's immutable, everything that Chris was just talking about. But it's also a staking platform that was built through peer reviewed. And what we mean by that is they've taken a lot of time and a lot of energy to not only kind of create the technology like Ethereum and like many other blockchain technologies, but they've also written about it and had it reviewed by their peers and basically have come to the same conclusion that actually Cardano has a very well thought out consensus mechanism, and it has a well thought out long-term objective about it. Essentially what I mean by this is that the Cardano blockchain in itself has been designed to last many, many years. It's been built in a modular way, which means that they can upgrade the ecosystem without having to take it offline, without any hard forks or anything like that. And we have seen many other countries around the world as well also turning their sights to the Cardano blockchain for these very same reasons. And it's no surprise to me that the US have turned their eyes to the Cardano ecosystem as the potential solution for their electoral system. Now, we know from many months and years ago just how bad it was with fraudulent voting slips kind of passed through the US, and lots of people calling into question whether the election was fair, correct, whether cheating was involved. And that is really where Cardano can play a critical role. Essentially, it can make it immutable. Basically, with its underlying technology, with its ideas around digital IDs through privacy layers and so forth, we could see Cardano allowing for an electoral system that actually works, and one that basically means that everyone has trust and can believe that whatever votes are cast are true and accurate, preventing any potential frauds and potentially any miscounts. And all of that is really bad pieces of data that we find ourselves talking about over and over again, year after year. This is a pretty big deal. Just like Africa and many of these other countries in the US do turn to Cardano's ecosystem as the solution, Cardano is going to be put on the map in a really, really big way. You can let me know how much inflows you think there's going to be if Cardano is selected by the US to be a part of their electoral system. Let me know in the comments below.
So let's talk about the challenges with implementing such an amazing tool to our electoral process. Well, for me, Cardano really does offer a unique proposition for this as a tool with how decentralized it is. But let's talk about the challenges. We have corruption. I think this is a big one. There's going to be lots of people that are corrupt in politics that don't want to implement a blockchain solution that makes it more transparent and fair and immutable. They're not going to want that. Now, there is going to be people that are pro getting this over the line and getting it implemented, but I do think corruption is still going to play a crucial role in whether we see this actually come to fruition or not. For me, a challenge from the form of corruption is probably the biggest challenge that we've got. The other challenge that I foresee would be the UI, the front end of the actual electoral process that is built on the blockchain. A lot of people don't have crypto wallets just yet. They're a bit clunky. They're very difficult to send and receive crypto on. So we do need to see some big improvements on the front end that allow people of different generations to be able to participate and cast a vote. Obviously, there could be support mechanisms put in place in the form of AI and individuals perhaps at stations where people can cast their vote on the blockchain. So again, we just need to mitigate some of the challenges and risks through the mitigation opportunities that are there. Those are two really big and important, I guess, challenges to us seeing this implemented. The other would be the centralization or decentralization of a blockchain. This is why I think Cardano is a really unique and well-positioned blockchain for this as a tool for the electoral process. I think that Cardano is far less likely to go down than, say, Solana and other blockchains, although Solana have made some improvements. You wouldn't want to have an awful lot of congestion on a platform that is more centralized and likely to go down. Let me pass you back to Nick to go over more details.
Now, given all those challenges, if we were to see this get across the line and Cardano was to be selected as the blockchain for these electoral processes and systems, then what does that mean for blockchain as a whole? Well, I think this is going to mean some pretty significant things. I think this is going to be a big milestone with a big check mark next to it to say that we actually finally see some legitimacy in this sector, in this industry of blockchain. Now, we obviously have a bit of a legacy problem with lots of kind of issues around whether or not anonymous transactions are, legal, not legal, whether we want to be known as, kind of money laundering industry and all these kind of really negative things. But I think if we were to see the Cardano ecosystem get selected for this electoral system from the US side of things, then that's actually going to be a big check mark. It's going to be a big positive on the industry that's going to kind of give us legitimacy once again. And, with an immutable system, a lot of the negative things that we've seen in the past obviously isn't necessarily true either. Lots of media, lots of spins have been put out. And I think, given all of the challenges that Chris was talking about, if we were to see blockchain finally being utilized for one of these grander purposes, it is obviously going to be quite a big milestone. Now, in order to kind of get things across the line and to kind of make sure that you have an immutable ledger for a voting system like this, you'd obviously have to have digital IDs as well. This is something that Cardano was, of course, talking about a few years ago, and something that they're trying to implement over in Africa. And I think, Cardano is a blockchain which actually could be well utilized for this purpose. And I think, this is just one of many use cases that the Cardano blockchain has, of course, been kind of talking about, has been working towards. And the implications of this electoral system on the industry is absolutely massive. We'll see more countries around the world turning to blockchain technology, in my opinion, for their electoral processes. Going fully digital, I think it is a part of where we are heading. Now, let me know what your thoughts are on all of this, whether you believe that this is going to be a big issue, whether you think the challenges are going to prevent an electoral system becoming real and becoming into fruition, or whether you think actually we're going to get past all of those hurdles and we're going to start moving this industry forward into a world of legitimacy where we have true transparency, where we have immutable ledgers, and everything kind of starts playing off perfectly well. Let me know what your thoughts are on all of that in the comments down below. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass over to JB back in the studio, who's going to start going through the technical analysis on ADA, where the implications of such a system could see fantastic growth in the price action of ADA.
So it's been fantastic so far to hear from Charles, to hear from Nick and Chris on this utmost bullish move that is likely to come here for Cardano's ADA. And it's going to be fantastic to hear where you guys are positioned on there. Now, of course, the guys out in Dubai, having that glorious background, you're stuck here in a somewhat snowy Scotland today. We're going to look at the price action, the charts, any bullish view that Cardano's ADA may just have. For this analysis, guys, I want to keep it in its most simplistic form, and of course for that on a weekly time frame, with Binance being the data source, clearing everything off of the charts, simply looking at some bullish moves that Cardano's ADA has made, the bullish impact the Gaussian channel has had on ADA previously, and looks likely to have on ADA once again. Now, when we did see Cardano's ADA flip bullish back in 2020, we of course had that fantastic run to 15.46 cents. We of course then experienced a short-term pullback for ADA, dropping down to 7.5 cents before we did see the monumental run to $3.10 for ADA, currently the all-time high. Now, of course, since then we have experienced the bearish market for ADA, dropping down a monumental 92.91%, dropping down as low as 22 cents. On this weekly time frame, that was of course a dramatic drop. But what we can now see on the week of the 12th of February, Cardano's ADA turning positive once again on the Gaussian channel. Now, yes, we do see this historically turning positive on the Gaussian channel and experiencing a pullback. Once again, we have turned positive on the Gaussian channel and we are experiencing a pullback. This is nothing abnormal. This is totally natural to see. The previous pullback, we did of course see Cardano's ADA drop down 51.21%. And so far we have dropped down 31.05%, so there is a potential for ADA to continue pulling back along with the rest of the market. These moves are not abnormal, and typically we expect to see these happen time and time again. Now, of course, what I do want to do is focus in on a couple of trend lines that are hovering about in the charts just above the head here. The lower trend line here, starting of course back in December of 2018, we can see how this was support for Cardano's ADA, turned into resistance. Once that one was broke through in 2020, this remained the area of support for Cardano's ADA before it had that explosive move to the upside. Now, of course, the price action has came down and turned this one into resistance once again. The white line, of course, acting as resistance over the last year and a half for ADA, touching upon it many times, again having another pullback. Most recently, we have seen December of last year into March of this year, we have found resistance at this point and we are rejecting to the downside. Focusing in now on the blue trend line, where we do historically see resistance for Cardano's ADA, well, once again, we are coming down to test it out. This, of course, acting as short-term support, short-term resistance. This being broke in December of 2023 has been the main point of support for ADA's price. And we potentially may come down to test this once again. A test of it on this weekly candle, yes, it would look down towards 51.5 cents. Unlikely to happen considering we only have a couple of days left of this week. But a pullback in the market, guys, we already know that this is unbelievably healthy. And we see this also with the Gaussian channel. Expecting these drops to the downside, there is a potential for 𝗕𝗓 to continue dropping on down, but that is good and it is healthy, and it's also a fantastic area for accumulation. But what we can also do is focus in on the bullish side for 𝗕𝗓 and the potential highs that 𝗕𝗓 may go to. Now yes, previously we have mentioned certain numbers that people may have called moon targets or unattainable targets for 𝗕𝗓 to reach. But now with everything that has been discussed in today's video, we can see long-term adoption that may just be on the cards for 𝗕𝗓, and we have to start thinking about some potential bullish targets that may just be within reach. Now zooming back out on this weekly chart, I do have an upper trend line here guys, and it's just for reference. This of course starting from the high back in April of 2018. We did come up to try and test this out in May of 2021, but of ultimately finding rejection at that bull market high in August of 2021 before the big correction that we have of course seen. Now if we're going to look at this through a couple of different terms, if we're just looking at these trend lines, well, we could be looking for 𝗕𝗓 to progress on back up towards these moon kind of targets, a number that we have spoken about previously, that $26 level. We know that this is not going to happen quickly. It's going to take an extended period of time for 𝗕𝗓 to push on up towards these kind of levels. But when we analyse this move to the upside that we did see in the previous bullish market for Cardano's 𝗕𝗓, and this run in itself was an unbelievable movement, 17,469% gains that this did see throughout that bullish market. Can 𝗕𝗓 replicate these kind of moves? If we do bring that Fibonacci over, the 100% move that we did see, well, that would target up towards the 1-to-1 to its 1.236 for Cardano's 𝗕𝗓. Now that 1-to-1 in itself targets up towards $38.45, with its 1.236 up here at $130.05. Now yes, those are unbelievable levels for 𝗕𝗓 to even contemplate coming up to hit. But when we do start to look at a couple of things that start to match up here, the tests on this upper trend line would see us push up towards that $38 level, all within a certain amount of time. We don't expect this to happen quickly. This may not even happen on that next bullish cycle, but within time, these are the kind of targets that we should be looking at 𝗕𝗓 to push on up towards. Now what we can potentially look at for that next bullish market is a move up towards the 786 Fibonacci level. We can see that sitting around about $12.70. Again, we would find resistance on this upper trend line. This may just be that historical trend that we look for 𝗕𝗓 to constantly push up towards, perhaps in this cycle up towards the $12.70 level, perhaps next cycle up towards the $38 level. Of course, it is just far too early to be seeing those kind of movements. And if we do look at this, before we exit for today, the move would of course be a giant A, B and C move to the upside. But more bullishly guys, if we wanted to see this one really take off, a massive impulsive movement for Cardano's 𝗕𝗓 would come at a staggering $934. So of course that's not a number I want to float about for today's video. A realistic number within a certain amount of time, understanding we don't expect this one to happen overnight, perhaps not even this cycle, but that 1-to-1 at $38 is potentially that target. A more realistic potential is up towards that $12.70 level, retesting a historic line where 𝗕𝗓 is finding resistance. And again, we can see how the Gaussian channel is respecting the moves of Cardano's 𝗕𝗓. When we see this one turn incredibly bullish, we do tend to experience a pullback. We have seen this turn bullish. We are experiencing a pullback. From this pullback, I think this is that opportunity that Charles, that Nick, that Chris are talking about, the chance to change lives. This is a historic move to the downside, because what comes next, guys, could be very special. That's my take on 𝗕𝗓. I do think this has a monumental future, a fantastic project, a fantastic ecosystem. And of course, what Charles, what Nick, what Chris have already covered in today's update, further backing the moves we may just see for Cardano's price action. Lastly, guys, we're going to throw it back over to Chris in Dubai.
Thanks for that, JB. I think it's really important that you now go over to our channel, subscribe, tap that bell, select all the notifications. Why, I hear you ask? It's going to be really important to stay up to date on everything that's happening, not only with Cardano, but with other blockchains in the crypto space, because this is going to be the biggest opportunity to make generational level wealth in this bull run. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. And don't forget to check out this video up here where Nick and JB talk more about the blockchain.